Yep. Yep.
Oh, good feedback. You can make noise with them in the middle of their day. Because that's probably when they're sleeping.
But then it would be our neighbors upstairs, not upstairs.
No, it does carry. It does carry. Sorry. It's okay. If there's something to do,
And contractors to do it. I'm doing it now.
oh, good.
There's no way we can dismantle and install on the cabinets, knocking down walls and hair.
Yeah.
We won't be able to handle that. We're not going to do a job in that area, so not
Oh, yeah, so that's what it is. My mom, just my mom taking, medical stuff and medical appointments. She's older. She lives in the corner herself. I was just there. I understand your problem. Her neighbor has, he or she must be an artist because they do this intermittently too during the day.
Okay.
During the day. Which is so that's how it stops at night. And so that's when like they stop or whatever art, that you can hear like sometimes a little saw or a drill or all these little yeah. So every once in it's like they're doing it's like an art part. I think it's an artist. Must be because it's like the sounds are so different than construction is. So it must be an artist of some kind because it's very regular. Very, very regular. Like it's like chipping, and you can hear like all those noises. So you can actually hear so it's very close. I don't know where it's coming from, but I think it's an artist.
So is that bothering your mother?
Yes, because it's right on her sleeping. Like she sleeps through the day, but my mom sleeps a lot. That's all day, all night, all day.
I see.
Yeah, you know how some people snack throughout the day. That's how my mom does her sleep. She snacks all day. Up.
Shit. Give me the battery. That's more. Put it inside. You put it that way, you take it on. No, you take it on, just put small one, put it down. Okay, just a minute.
Lama Gumbo Jamba Yang Janza Gange Lotte Jimien Jinda Nidara Nanda Raza Jinyen Dengen Jijin Sijin Niji Trukar Legam Kanda Sibe Tendara Ma Mendum Dungan Jizreven Jozo Kenla Puchi Tatse Yanlan Chuju Yangden Zon Jutare Nyemo Nyelon Leji Chadro Joze Mare Menze Donga Nyugo Jinyen Jenze Roje Denen Dajin Sachi Tarsen Yenden Lizo Jase Tove Go Chedra Chet Chunyin Jende Nale Menze Jambe Yang Marabazana de 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 Marabazana Marabazana de Marabazana de Marabazana Marabazana de 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 Zeden Jeje Chenra Zrenje Dale Demon Baraza Padan Denje Shonla Dombai Loje Bobe Nawa Zandu So Jeje More Nanti Gore Janda 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 Majiba Palo Jinji Jebe Jindu Jima Mebalango Rada Dengo Zango Vaji Mengolen Janza Jinju the Jo Shivan Zero Tamjit Tuje Jesu Zimbranze Dozo Gambija Mongazal Zimbano Dajen Zimbezo Zimbar Vendo Kilmigin the Zijuru Tuje Damakune Shirin Jidanzo Jikonjabe Tuambe Mongabe Jabenderin Dalian Zorojon Jinzolim Bemendongo Zeren Javel Namdoran Jen and Jindo Zinzolen Jen Jambarabe Pemanjone Dalian Zorojon Gamborian Dewadan Tome Yancholan Jidinda Chujun Janam Yimbozo Zamlin Jinjo Nam Jinda Ejon Kali Degan Jinin Bego and Dengo Jongo Visha Sabdo Nimbi Bebe Nanjurba Chime Zir Shabjinda Ejon Ridon Jimbashim Jinole Hombilone Bopeta Jindo Chinzin Janzengo Anjur Mibam Jambi Anjinda Ejon Namunguru Jinin Bamenda Jeshi Zala Punjara Juntu Jimbetin Jigala Mendana Paden la me Shabjinda Ejon Kangitala Ribalo Vada Tujitin Jamila Namazo Vazada Umbushina Meji Chinchin la Menda Ejon Yende Sanje Kundanya Naya Kadin Sanje Kundaka Began Sare Namishala Swande Dazwan Rove Lana Challenger Kondo Jijur Damke Jidena Deshela Marjirba Kansuda Tender Damke Chujin Chambembe Simbra Devada Dan Desheje Namoria Damba Laike Dalu Dan Jinge Jubonda Dame Genam Dan Dua Kunji Danam Chisambar Tamje Ke Dozo Surte Jurji Majur Namge Tatanyam Besenjen Tamje Namdro Teni Deva Lanameva Yandavar Zobi Sanji Jingwan Barchela Chine Yang Kubra Shah Dechedu Eba Chimbi Shumbu Jaze Shivale Zebi Chanju Sembi Chebalan Juba Teni Tsushindu Seni Nyamzulan Yolandu Samba Chanju Chuda Tujavan Chede Sensal. So as the begin of this listening Dharma teaching, which is also considering as a great meritorious activity, and then now in order to transform this great meritorious activity into the cause of enlightenment oneself and others, and it is always important to have a right motivations, that motivations can be transformed, or the drive our meritorious activity into enlightened, cause of enlightened. So therefore, among the motivations, that awakened mind motivation or the intention is considering as a supreme intention or the supreme motivation. So therefore, it is important to generate that in order to transform our actions, our activity, transform into cause of enlightenment. So, and in order to generate that awakened mind, then you need to think with a very carefully, relax, and from that stage of mind, then look each and every sentient being as one's dearest, and then in order to lead them to complete enlightenment, that for that purpose I'm going to listening this Mahayana scriptures composed by Shantideva called Way of Bodhisattva's Life. And whatever I understand, I will try my best to put into practice with that kind of intention, generating that, considering as a generating awakened mind. And then with that intention, then another second step is to have a right conduct. So the right conduct, as I always saying, listen carefully in an excellent way and try to hold its word and its meaning as much as you could. So that's the right conduct of listening Dharma teachings. And now, after these are the two steps, that preparations of listening Dharma teaching. And then after that, the actual Dharma teaching here now, it's Way of Bodhisattva's Life. And within this scripture, it has a 10 chapter and main 4 categories, or the 4 theme, that is to how to generate bodhicitta and how to receive the bodhisattva's vow within oneself, and which is guided by first 3 chapters. And then once we generate it and once we receive this bodhisattva vow, and how to maintain and or to protect that what we have received, and in order to guide that, then second 3 chapters, that 4th, 5th, and 6th chapters, guiding us how to maintain or to protect that what we received so far, called Bodhisattva's vow. And then third 3 chapters, 7, 8, and 9, that's mainly that not to just maintain or to protect what we received Bodhisattva vow, but also to further improve, increase how to increase or how to improve, how to develop further this awakened mind or the bodhisattva, bodhicitta, and that is guided by this third 3 chapters. And within that, actually, it is also leading towards realizations as well. So these 9 chapters, first Shantideva was trying to make familiar with those positive and virtuous activity. And then this 9th chapter, kind of like a, not last, sorry. So the 9th chapters. So the 9 chapters, then mainly, then not to just familiar with oneself within those positive and within those virtuous activity, but also how to go beyond that virtuous activity, that that we needed that in order to cross the borderline of samsara. Without that 9th chapter, this wisdom chapter, and then no matter how much we do the positive actions, virtuous activity, it is good, but it won't really help us to go beyond that. When when we don't have that capability to go beyond that, no matter how much it is good, but still it lead us within this cyclic existence again and again. So therefore, in order to go beyond, then this 9th chapter is really kind of like a leading that how. But it is also that first he is trying to let us familiar with those positive or virtuous activity, and then from that, and then go beyond. It is not something just go beyond without making any familiar with the without making any familiar with this virtuous activity, and which is really difficult and which is almost impossible. So therefore, that is why also this Shantideva, this way of Bodhisattva's life, that how he is guiding, he is trying to guiding us, turns our mind towards positive first, and then go beyond from there. Anyway, so this is which means that what I'm saying is, within this 9th chapter, it is complete path of Mahayanas. Actually, it is showing that, being a Mahayana practitioners, that how to practice the Mahayana path, and then through the Mahayana path practice, that what one can really achieve the realizations, and that realizations, what it really benefits oneself. And then the last theme, that last chapter, it is dedications, that whatsoever that path is shown, and how to, it is the 9th chapter also guiding us, the studying the 10th chapter, the last chapter, also could help us to understand how one should dedicate one's merit and how to make it aspirations as well. So these are the main 4 themes of this way of Bodhisattva's life, actually, in a very short brief. So among these 4 themes, that we are in the second one, that once we receive this Bodhisattva's vow, and how to maintain this Bodhisattva vow, and how to protect that, then the how to maintain this Bodhisattva vow, actually one is also like that understanding it's beneficial, but understanding it's beneficial, it's alone maybe not enough for some person to maintain this Bodhisattva vow. And then what it requires in order to have a sense of that I should maintain or I should protect this Bodhisattva vow, and then it is also good to understand that what if I transgress this vow, and what the consequences that I will going to face. That understanding its fault, and it also can help us to have a sense of maintenance, or sense of protect, or sense of carefulness. So therefore, Shantideva guiding here that so far in this chapter number 4, that he's describing the fault or defeat, or the fault of transgressing Bodhisattva vow. Right after that, in chapter number 30, what he showed, that he showed how to receive this Bodhisattva vow. Right after that, and then he's guiding that what we receive the Bodhisattva vow, that if we transgress that, then what will going to be the consequences. And then that last time I described with the imagining with the 4 types of persons. That first type of person who just transgressed it and then careless from there, not doing anything. And that's the worst case. And then the second type of person, that who transgress, the first he received Bodhisattva vow, and then transgress Bodhisattva vow, and then later this Mahayana path or the Bodhisattva's vow to maintain it is, he or she felt kind of like a challenge or difficulties, and then give up, and then but not completely giving up the spiritual path, but entering into some easier, the lower path, and then what consequences it could be. Then Shantideva himself didn't really answer clear that he put it in the omniscient mind, and then he goes with the. But what I really know that transgressing, and then even they give up the bodhisattva vow, and then even choosing the lower spiritual path. But however, just transgressing that bodhisattva vow will become the very heaviest negative. That I can say definitely that it could becomes. That's not Shantideva, it is just saying. This is also said in this sutra, I think, Doddiva, I think. In that sutra also saying this, that even someone practicing the general 10 virtuous actions, and then and then later, first he generated bodhisattva and bodhisattva, received the bodhisattva vow, and then enter into these 10 virtuous actions many lifetimes, very long time. And then later, then he gave up, and then he entered into the lower spiritual path, such as a Theravada path, and also that kind of like a changing his path, spiritual. And then by changing that kind of things itself, it's considering as a transgressed of bodhicitta. By transgressing bodhicitta in that way, it is said by this, and I think this is in Sutra, the Shakyamuni Buddha mentioning that in this way, transgressing bodhisattva vow, is the heaviest karma, or the most worse than transgressing any of others 19 precepts. There's a total 20 precepts, right? Total 20 precepts. This now transgressing one's bodhisattva vow in this way, that giving up the higher path and then entering into the lower path, which itself is something you are transgressing the aspiration bodhicitta. And then, which is also kind of like a, not only aspiration bodhicitta, but itself is, Shakyamuni Buddha saying, itself is the transgressing bodhisattva vow. And that way of transgressing is the most heaviest, or the most worst, among the breaking or the transgressing bodhisattva's vow. And therefore, and Shantideva also saying this, these are the background or the reference that Shantideva he had. Therefore, Shantideva, I think he's saying this, that detail specifically what consequences will going to be, that I don't know. It will able to tell only who have this omniscient mind. But what I can really tell, that will going to be the worst or the main, heaviest karma, that I could say it, that he said it. He said it because of this too, I think, that Shakyamuni Buddha, how he said it. And then third type of beings that transgressed, but taking again back and forth, kind of like that he made a mistake, transgress, and then take it again, bodhisattva vow, and then try to maintain, and then make a mistake, back and forth, third type of person. The back and forth, doing that way, that Shantideva, he said, that it will going to prolong for you to achieve realizations. It will going to prolong for you to achieve the bhumis, that first bhumi level or the second bhumi level. So if you don't really want to prolong to achieve the bhumi level, then better not to back and forth. But it is still better than the first two type of persons. That is clear. It is longing for your result. And then the fourth type of person, the best one is once we receive this bodhisattva vow and try very, careful, or try to maintain it without any transgressing. And that way, then it will going to be the best one. So now he's kind of like giving us kind of like 4 choices, and then whichever path, whichever one, how to say, we need to choose that what type of persons we want to be, we would like to be. And then I also said last time that definitely it's better to not choose the first type of person. Just give up and completely forget it. Try not anything from there. That's not a good idea. And then the second one, it's also not a good idea. And then we do the third one. We can try our best to do the fourth one, but at least if we are not being able to do the fourth one, but at least we can do the third one for sure. Therefore, not come down from the third one. But this is something I'm not saying that, oh, we can do the third one, okay? So we have to try our best to make it that best one. If not, if it is beyond our capability, then at least try not to come down then the third one. So just try to stay in the third one. That is what I'm saying. It is not recommending, okay? It is not the recommend. Don't take it as a recommend. It is just like if you are not able to, and that way you should take it. And then now, how to say, with that, Shantideva also describing the defeat or the loss of the transgressing bodhisattva. Wow, how to say, defeat of losing the bodhisattva's vow. With that also describing that he's giving small example, right? Even destroying the one person's happiness, that one actions could become causes and condition for you to fall down in lower realms. As last time I told you with the history of that the son born in a kind of like a ball, that this one mistake, and then one destroyed one, how to say, he destroyed one's happy of others. That, and also I told you that one happy of others we couldn't take as a wrong. Okay, so for example, that some person fishing there and he is not getting any fish, and then you thinking, oh, he is suffering from not getting a fish, then you send some fish to let him to catch. That's not the way of that's not the right way of kind of like making others happy, making kind of like making, how to say, that's not the right way to get rid of his difficult. This difficult, even we don't remove, that doesn't matter. That's not something that we should try. Likewise, and some persons who are not being able to steal, and then you just putting there something that he or she can steal from there. So that's not the right thing. That we don't have to remove that kind of suffer. That kind of suffer is not necessary for us to remove. And except then that, then in how the proper way of removing suffering, others' suffering. And those things which we are talking about, not the nonsense things. And then now from here, this is stanza number 12. We are in this stanza number 12. Stanza number 12, the first two lines, until this first two lines that Shantideva introducing that, how to say, with these four types of persons, that which will going to be the best one. The fourth one, that, and so according to my promise, I will act attentively. Now this is the fourth person, right? If we do it that in this way, that whatever we committed, if we how to say, put 100% our effort, and then very careful to maintain this bodhisattva's vow, then that will be the very best one. And then now from here, from this stanza number, half stanza, 12, half of 12 stanza, and then the 13 and 14, this 2.5 stanza here. 2.5 stanza here, actually it is kind of like a Shantideva is guiding us to have a sense of diligent, and also that within this 2.5 stanza, Shantideva also trying to letting us understand that you cannot depend on others completely, that you are your own responsible for this. You cannot depend on others. That's Shakyamuni Buddha, he mentioned clear, and also here Shantideva also making it here clear that in short, let me tell you this one, this 2.5 stanza, he is trying to let us have a sense of diligent, sense of kind of like a, how can I say, that directly it is kind of like a showing, directly what it is really showing is that, that I have this conditions, all the conditions for me to liberate or achieve enlightenment is there. That is not sufficient. That's not enough. If you don't do it anything, having all these conditions around you doesn't make any difference. That's what he's saying directly. Then indirectly, what he's really trying to letting us understand, that right now you have all these things, so you shouldn't care less there. You should have a sense of care, and then try to maintain it with it diligently, not just so far that Shantideva tried to let us have a sense of carefulness to not to transgress the Bodhisattva's power. But now from here, not just having that sense, but also to have a diligent, but also to have a sense of kind of like a urged, sense of urgent, sense of kind of like a, how to say, sense of urgent or sense of diligent, to generate sense of diligent. So he's using these 2.5 stanzas. That's how he's saying. So the first, that from this day forth, if I now fail to strive, I will fall from low to even lower states. So now this is the one here. Now from this day's forth, which means now from this day's forth, that this is also, I told you that we have to listen, or we have to take it, all these teachings based on assuming that we already received Bodhisattva's power. And now from this day forth, okay, from this day forth, if I now fail to strive, which means now that what does it mean? That we described a little bit those what do you call the 20 precepts, that, how can I say now this, what do you call 20 precepts which, if we occur, which makes transgress our Bodhisattva's vow. And then the 4 immeasurable and 6 prajna paramita that help us to maintain or protect our Bodhisattva's vow. And based on these 2 things, and then kind of like benefiting other beings through the 4 activities, through the 4 activities like the generosity, and then let's say Jindang Myanmar Tentin Tenju. Jindang Myanmar Tentin Tenju means generosity, and then kind of like talking, sweet talk. It is sweet talk actually. Jindang Myanmar. Myanmar means that say something that which other wants to listen. Say something, say some word that which other really like to listen. Jindang Myanmar. and then Dentun. Dentun means, and then what do you call it? Say something accordance with its reality, truth. Dendon timba. It's say something accordance with its reality, its truth. And then tenju. Tenju means, and then oneself is also practicing it, not just saying it, but also oneself is practicing it. That way, kind of like a benefiting others beings. So, and also before that, how to say, we also has to understand these things, that the 20 precepts is talking to those who are kind of like a higher faculties of Mahayana practitioner. And then the mediocre faculties of Mahayana practitioner, it has a less precepts, only 4 precepts, not the 20 precepts of root. It is talking about the root one. And then the lesser faculties of Mahayana practitioner, then 1 precepts, the aspiration bodhicitta, that we mentioned earlier, that how Shakyamuni Buddha gave that to his friend king, that who was so busy, who are not being able to maintain all rest of other precepts. Then he gave this, at least you just maintain this 1 precepts of aspiration bodhicitta. No matter you walk, you eat, you sleep, you drink, you whatever you do, try not to forget that. Put deep in your mind that you should practice this aspiration bodhisattvas no matter what. That kind of sense keep in our deep heart, and then trying to maintaining that. This is the lesser, lowest faculties of Mahayana practitioner precepts, and then the mediocre faculties of Mahayana practitioner, 4 precepts, and then the highest or the best faculties of Mahayana practitioner. Then we can also choose from there to develop further. From the first one, and then move to the second, and then move to the third. That way we can also develop. We don't have to jump right away. Anyway, so okay. So however, that aspiration bodhisattva, even the lowest Mahayana practitioner, but aspiration bodhisattva has. Without that, there's no way that it can become Mahayana path. Without that, the mind. So therefore, it must be there. So therefore, this is at the least. Therefore, it becomes the lowest faculties Mahayana practitioner. This is for lowest Mahayana practitioner. And then, however, now here, then from these days now, from this day forth, that after once we receive this bodhisattva's vow, and then now, accordance with the oneself, whichever path you are, whichever faculties you are, whichever precepts you are maintaining. If I fail to strive, now this is what it is, that whatever you have precepts, either 1, 4, or all 20. If you are highest faculties Mahayana practitioner, then 20, then it becomes like a, if I now fail to strive, means now any of 1 happened to you, then it becomes transgress. Then if you are mediocre 1, then 4. Any of 1 or 4, if you do it, then it becomes fail to strive. And if you are the lowest Mahayana practitioner, then the 1 precepts. If you lost that aspiration bodhisattva, then it becomes, if I now fail to strive, I will fall from low to even lower state. So now this is something that Shantideva was saying, that if we didn't try to repair, if we didn't try to receive again and anything, then that alone, it is so heavy karma. Then that alone, one single heavy karma can pull us down. Yes, can pull us down from the low to even lower state. From low to even lower state, that is easy can say actually. Once we fall in a lower rung, then it will going to be lower and lower. Yes. Therefore, this is something. If I will fall, Dr. said, if I now fail to strive, I will fall from low, right? First low, and then to even a lower state. Yes, that will going to be. That is very common sense that we can understand by looking after those animals, that which we can really see. With unfortunately for them is their whole life, there's no any chances for them to do any good things. There's a very less chance, very, very rare. Therefore, almost we can say that even lower and lower state. That's what Shantideva means here. So, two, that, and then also Shantideva already described in this first chapter that that within this our our daily life, that what we doing is most of the time maybe we are spending either in a neutral or negative. Less of the time we are spending in positive activity. So therefore, even in the first chapter that Shantideva said, therefore, how to say, for that purpose, can I put it now, this one here? This bodhicitta, it's even become more necessary for that type of persons who are not being able to spend their time more in a positive, who are spending their time most of the time either in a neutral or negative. For those, that type of person, even it becomes more important to have it within them, because it is Shantideva how it says that rest of the positive actions are like a very weak, right? It's very weak, and how this weak positive actions can be equalized our negative actions. Example that I'm giving this with that, for example, within 24 hours, let's say if we practice positive actions without bodhicitta, okay, general talking about, without bodhicitta, general engaging into positive actions such as saving somebody's life, or generosity, or morality, or telling truth, and so forth. And then how much we're doing it within 24 hours, we can think. And then within 24 hours, how many hours we're spending in a neutral, just sleeping, doing nothing, eating, working, like that. And then how many time of the how many hours that we're spending doing something negative, such as kind of like disturbing others, or killing some beings, or kind of like stealings, or gamblings, or kind of like a sexual misconduct, or lying, and harsh word, and so on. I think what I'm trying to making point here is, let's say within this 24 hours, let's say that we are engaging into positive actions like 4 hours. Let's say, imagine now, let's say. And then we're spending almost 10, 12, 13 hours in neutral. Let's say 13 hours in neutral and 7 hours in negative. Okay? And then Shantideva said that the virtues which without bodhicitta are weak. Right? Why it is become weak? Because now, compare here, now equalize, try to equalize here. Within one day, 24 hours, 13 hours is we just spent nothing. So we spend 4 hours in virtuous. We spend 7 hours in non-virtuous. Now this 4 hours can be equalized to 4 hours of negative actions. Still, we remain 3 hours. We storage 3 hours. So now 3 hours negative actions every day we storaging. Every day we storaging 3 hours negative actions. Therefore, Shantideva, he also said this in chapter number 4, first, right? When he's describing the benefit of having bodhisattva, bodhicitta, awakened mind within oneself, that whoever have this awakened mind, and that is the kind of like, it becomes like a very strong antidote for the rest of, say, that he gave this example, the virtues which is out of bodhicitta, it becomes like the mango trees, that it continues to give its fruition without stopping. And that is also, he also gave example as a kind of like a tutime. Tutime means that the end of the time, the fire, end of the time fire, which has a so heat, it can dry easily the big amount of water. So this bodhicitta is like that. It has that strong. Even generating one moment can be equalized. The 7 hours is easy, more than that. So therefore I'm saying, even persons who are not being able to spend their time most in a virtuous, most in the, how to say, virtuous, for those this bodhicitta is actually even more important, becomes more important for them to equalize, and not just equalize, and they also can a lot of storage of virtuous actions too. So that now that that the from this day forth, if I now fail to state, I will fall from low to even lower state, which means now for understanding that, so in order to make sure not to fall down oneself, low and even lower state, then what we need to try our best is to whatever we receive this bodhisattva vow and try to maintain it. This is what he's mainly talking about here. And then to maintaining this bodhisattva's vow, it is something that you cannot say that, oh, you cannot just depending on all the conditions. And how you cannot depending on all those conditions. And he's mentioning right after this stanza that semjen thamje penze bisanje taminte ju dani rangi nyebe de suju magurtos, that striving for the benefit of all that lives, unnumbered Buddhas have already lived and passed away, but I, by virtues of my sins, have failed to come within the compass of their healing works. Now, this is really Shantideva's telling us that even though there's a lot of number, countless of Buddhas or bodhisattvas whatsoever around you, it doesn't matter. Unless if you follow it, if you maintain it, these vows, that what you received it. If you don't maintain it, these vows, you just careless about this vow. And doesn't matter how many surrounded, how many of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas surrounded you, it doesn't really make difference. If you transgress your Bodhisattva's vow, then even in the past, it's already happened. Many numbers, that unnumbered Buddhas have already lived and passed away. And we also encountered with them already, but they didn't make it any difference. It is not because of they didn't make it any difference. They tried their best, but we didn't did it. We didn't make it. That's what he's saying. That, but I, by virtues of my sins, have failed. That if we failed to maintain those vows, then they, to come within the compass of their healing works, failed to come within the compass of their healing works. So these are actually not so difficult to understand, actually. It is easy to understand. You cannot say that I have such and such great teacher, and I have such and such great friends. I have such and such great Buddha around me, Bodhisattvas around me. So no matter whatever I do, I will going to be okay. That's not the right view to have it. This is what Shantideva was saying. That even though they are surrounded you, but if you didn't maintain all of these precepts, then out of this fault, out of this kind of like out of this fail that they won't be able to become the healing for you. That doesn't make any difference in short. This is what it is Shantideva saying. So therefore, mainly Shantideva, what he's trying to telling us here is that you are your own responsibility. You need to put effort. It does not, again here, it does not mean, again, those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will not going to do anything for you. How we need to understand this really teaching is that what those conditions, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas or the great teachers or whatsoever, what they can really do for you is to guide. That definitely they can do. Once they instruct you, once they guide you, then if you are follow that path, then that's it. If you didn't follow that path, even that great teacher stay with you doesn't make any difference. That's what it means. That's how you should understand this. It does not mean they won't do anything to you. They will do what they can do. And then mainly as I say, they are just conditions. You or ourself is cause. Then just having a conditions will not going to give any fruitions. In order to have a fruitions, this two is necessary. Both of this condition and cause is necessary. The cause only can fulfill it from oneself. The cause cannot fulfill from others. So this is what it means, actually, you should understand from this stanza. So therefore, Shantideva mainly trying to have a sense of diligence. After he is trying to letting us sense of diligence. And you are kind of like taking responsibility, not just relying, oh, I have such and such teacher there, I have such and such Buddhas there, I have such and such Bodhisattvas is around me, then no matter whatever I do, I will going to be okay. He don't want us to have that kind of view. He don't want us to have that kind of like a missed concept that it will going to be okay. No, it will not going to be okay. It is not going to be okay how Shantideva is proving here. If it is going to be okay, you should be okay already, because a number of Buddhas has already passed away in front of you. If it is going to be okay, you should be okay since then. You should be already okay. You are not okay until still you are here in the samsara because you didn't take it responsibility. Therefore, you are still here. That's the sense that he wants us to understand. And then he wants us to take serious here. He wants us to take responsibility, one's own responsibility, to fulfill the cause part, not the only conditions, not completely relying on conditions. So we do majutos. Tadon deshin tajana yanda yandu deshin des. Niendrena chingwa chena shaso yongwa gyurus. And then this 14th stanza. And this will always be my Lord if I continue to behave like this. And I will suffer pain and bondage, wounds and laceration in the lower realms. Now this translation, I think, a little bit making not clear. Anyhow, okay, let me tell you here. This stanza, what it is talking about is that, so still, how to say, from now on, if you keep do like before what you are doing it, okay, tadung deshin dajenas. From now on, still, if you keep doing same things, kind of like what does it mean? If you keep doing same things, means that the not maintaining the bodhisattva's vow, and then not caring about protecting one's bodhisattva's vow. If you keep doing that things, this is what it means actually. It has to take in this way. Tadum deshin tajenams. Yane yandu deshin days that if I continue to behave like this, and this will always be my Lord. It's better change these two lines, isn't it? Huh? What do you think? Stanza number 14. If I continue to behave like this, and this will always be my Lord, and I will suffer pain and bondage, wounds and laceration in the lower realms. In the lower realms, what you are understanding from this in the lower realms? This stanza, it contains both lower realms and higher realms actually. It is not talking only the lower realms. Okay? It is talking about if we continue to behave like before, just to transgress bodhisattva vow and not to really pay attention and carefulness, and those conditions will not going to do anything. It will not going to help you. And then plus that yanda deshin des, not just one time, but again and again, that one will going to be face the most seniorest things is following in lower realm. That's what it means, one. Nyandruda. And even that if one didn't fell into the lower realm, let's say even we born in the higher realms, but still that we will going to we will going to have these difficulties, that like pains and bondage, wounds and lacerations. These are now talking about even if you didn't fell in lower realms, even we born in higher realms like a human, such as a human or those demigods or whatsoever. that still these kind of like the diseases and then the unfreedom, okay, unfreedom, non-freedom, that actually within this world we can really see, right? In the one hand, it's fortunate they are born as a human, but on the other hand, they don't really have freedom as we do, actually. There are many beings, right? And then Chedan Shakso, and they also suffered by wounds and lacerations. That is also happening. We don't have to look so far. This is also happening within our world. That kind of very bad things, right? In some countries, there's no freedom, and they are suffered by these things, lacerations and wounds. And then these diseases, like kind of like uncurable diseases, that kind of bad diseases also sometimes it could happen. And however, now the point here, Shantideva, what it is saying, like these are all that, how to say, generally this is all happening because of bad karma, and then particularly this is all happening because of this transgressing. They're not carrying this bodhisattva's vow, and that's what it means. And then mainly this 2.5 stanza, that in the past, and that Buddhas or the great masters, teachers, and who can really show the path of liberation and enlightenment, many of them came and already left us. And ourselves, either it is because of unfortunate that we are not being able to encounter with them, or we encounter with them, but we didn't really follow their guidelines. Whatsoever, now you encounter with them, you have all their guidance, and you have that capability to follow their guideline. Now you must take it that serious and take it that responsibility and put effort and work hard to maintain this bodhisattva's vow, and then try to practice in this way of bodhisattvas. This is what he means now, indirectly, through this 2.5 stanza. Here, directly it is showing the fault, right? Fault if we didn't maintain, if we engage with those, what do you call non-virtuous in general, and particularly that transgress our bodhisattva's vow. What consequences that one could have to face. And through that, he's trying to letting us some sense of responsibility, some sense of take it serious here, some sense of like a carefulness, actually. So now, this is also, I told you, right? He's trying to giving us different reasons. And any of one reasons works for you, that's enough. Now, you don't need any further. But being, as I already told you earlier, but this is scripture, so it has to have all complete antidote, all complete idea. So it is not necessary for us that we need to pick up all of them. We can pick up one which can really help us to have a sense of carefulness, to not to transgress our bodhisattva's vow. Then as long as you get one good point from there, and then if it is really helping you to have a generate sense of carefulness, then that's the main purpose. First, generated that sense of carefulness in your mind, deep in your mind, even though you're not being able to do it. And then that's how you putting the seed in your, sowing the seed in your mind. But we need to have that sense. And then if we sown that seed, and then keep maintaining that seed, and then remember mindfulness now. Remember that all the time. Remembering is mindfulness is the kind of like a conditions to grow that seed. So you need to, in order to grow that seed, then you need to have this mindfulness, sense of mindfulness, what you put in the seed. And then you just keep remember yourself time to time that, oh, I should try my best to do this. I should have that carefulness, sense of carefulness. And again, this is like you are pouring water and giving a sunshine to your seed. But that's how we should develop. That's how we should practice, and that's how we should increase. It is not something that, it makes sense, and then, I understand, I'll grow. It's not like that. First, we need to understand, and then after we understand, we need to put in our mind, just like a seed. It is like a very seed, very small. But if we put that seed, and then through mindfulness, remember again and again, that I should careful about this. I should careful about this every day, time to time. Then it will grow. That's how we need to develop. Actually, this stanza actually showing both lower realms and higher realms. It can become causes and condition for you to fall down in lower realms. Even if you born as a higher realms, but still you will not going to have a freedom. You will going to have many kind of diseases. You will going to face a kind of like a lacerations from others, or these difficulties, many difficulties. It is all because of generally bad karma's consequences, particularly transgressing those bodhisattvas' vow also can give this kind of results too. Even you are not fell down in lower realm, even you born as a human, but you may need to face this all unfavorable conditions. This all could become laceration in the lower realms. Okay, anyhow, so these 2.5 stanzas really Shantideva was trying to letting us some sense of carefulness about urgent, some sort of like a trying to letting us have a sense of some kind of a sort of like a diligent. That's it. 대신 sheba chungwa dang, dedang milu toba dang, gegum ruma dedabu kuna, namshi toba yurus. And then now from here, this stanza number 15 to stanza number 20, this sixth stanza. This sixth stanza mainly Shantideva was talking about this. He's trying to letting us some sort of like a carefulness, that understanding that what we have the capability right now. What we have capability right now, and then what we have all the conditions for us to achieve right now. This is mainly talking about the, again, same as the precious human rebirth again. Now he's trying to letting us understand that we have obtained precious human rebirth right now. And then having this precious human rebirth, that not just precious human rebirth, but also we have this another kind of like a two conditions. Another two conditions is also there within oneself, and which with this combined three all conditions, which really makes that capable to familiarize oneself within the general virtuous actions, and particularly those way of Bodhisattva's life. Which is how Shantideva was talking here in this stanza number 15. The appearance of the Buddhas in the world true faith, and the attainment of the human form. These are the three things here now. First one, the appearance of the Buddhas in the world, and then truth, faith, and then the attainment of the human form. Okay, attainment of the human form. And aptitude for good, all these are rare. Aptitude for good. What does it mean, aptitude? Aptitude. What does it mean? What does it mean? Anyone tell us? Anyone tell me? It is talking about familiarization. Familiar, same?
Inclination, tendency.
Huh?
Tendency, inclination.
Tendency. Gegom ruwa tetabo. In Tibetan we say gegom ruwa tetabo. And aptitude for good. All these are rare. When will they come to me again? Okay, so that Shantideva, he is the persons who are receiving these teachings here, that able to study this way of Bodhisattva's life. And then, yes, that kind of like this saying that that we are able to study this way of Bodhisattva's scriptures because of Buddhas happened in this world. If Buddhas didn't happen in this world, we won't be able to have this opportunity to study. That one condition is there already. Persons, whoever is studying, okay? This is based on a talking that persons who are studying right now or whatsoever. It's not talking about somebody else. Oh, Buddha is just happened in this world, so now every in the world have this. It is not saying that. The persons whoever is studying right now, which that he or she received that condition. It's already received that condition. Do you understand how it is received, how we are receiving these conditions already? It is not talking about whole human, right? Every human. It is talking about the persons who are studying. And then also the second condition is true faith. Thedam. Actually, that persons not just having an opportunity to study, but also have a faith in Dharma. Faith in Dharma and faith in Buddha. Okay? Faith in Dharma and faith in Buddha. Mainly faith in Dharma. Okay? Faith in Dharma. Having faith in Dharma is the another condition, another greatest condition. And then top of that, and then Milutova. Third condition is the attainment of the human form. The persons whoever gathered all these three things, okay, the persons who have these all three conditions, do you understand? Persons who have all these three conditions, which means that that person have that capability themselves to familiarize with the spiritual path, general, particularly this way of Bodhisattva's life. And then here, faith in general, Dharma, and particularly Mahayana path, right? We can say that, Mahayana path. Having faith in spiritual path in general, and particularly having faith in Mahayana path. Person who have a faith in spiritual path in general, and particularly in Mahayana path, and persons who are able to study because of the Buddha's appearance in this world, and then person who obtained the human form. Gathering these three conditions in one person, which makes that person capable to familiarize with the spiritual in general, spiritual path, and then particularly in Mahayana path, which means that whether we understand or not, or if we didn't understand, we need to understand now. We need to understand now. This is what Shandita was saying here. As long as anyone who gathered these three conditions, which proving that you are capable. Now, don't give up or don't think that, oh, I cannot practice this spiritual path in general and particularly this Mahayana path. Which is, Shandita was saying, not truth actually. If you have all these three conditions, which makes you are capable, he's kind of like a, how can I say that? He's kind of like a forcing a little bit, isn't it here? You are capable because you have all these three conditions. Don't think that you are incapable. He don't want us to think that I am incapable. Actually, that's truth. That's all we needed actually in order to practice, isn't it? We need to have a faith towards its path, and we need to have a right path, which is shown by which we can have because of the Buddha appearance in this world. And then we have to have this precious human form, that which can do it all these things properly, which we have this, especially this human intelligence. As long as gathered all these three conditions in one person, that person is the capable to familiarize he or she herself into a spiritual path, general, and particularly this way of Bodhisattva's life. Gekum Rungwas. Rungwa means actually, how can I say now this one? And aptitude for good. Now does it make more understand? No? And aptitude for good. What it makes. All these are rare. When will they come to me again? Yeah, now this is thing. The gathering all these three conditions in one person. It's rare. Yes, it is rare. You consider yourself now. We have to consider ourselves. If we have all these three conditions, which makes that, yes, I am capable. Now don't say that I'm incapable. There's no reason for saying oneself that I'm incapable, as long as you have these three conditions. If you are missing any of one, then maybe a little bit less chance. However, Shandita was saying, there's no excuse for you. Actually, now it's all only depends on how you put effort or not. There's no any other excuse. You have these capabilities. This is what he means. But that kind of gathering all these three conditions, which makes persons to capable, it's rare. That if you missed this right now, then when will they come to me again? Yes, this is what it means. But mainly here he is talking about this precious human rebirth. Again, precious human rebirth, when we talk about precious human rebirth, this all comes within it. Faith and Buddha appearance in this world, everything, right? That we talk about this 18 quality, right? 18 quality, 8 freedom and 10 favorable conditions. The 5 favorable conditions from out comes from out, The Buddha appearance is the one of them. And then the faith is the 5 favorable conditions from oneself. The faith is one of them, right? And then the human free from 8 incapable. That's human. So now here Shantideva making this 18 quality in short here, picking up those main points. Being a human, having a faith, and then appearance the right guideline. Appearance Buddhas means having a right guideline, actually. That's the main point of appearance Buddha in this world. So, mainly this is the one that he really wants us to not give up. He really wants us to have a sense of carefulness, that you are capable. So if you care, you can do it. That's what it means now. Main point is here. If you care to maintain your bodhisattva's vow, you can do it. You are capable. First, you are capable. So based on you are capable, if you're careful, you can do it. This is what he wants us to raise, main things. And this is what he wants us to have, the sense of carefulness. But now the next stanza actually is talking about impermanent. Right after that, impermanent. But neme nima deda was sejetsawa mejang ni tseni kejilua the luni tanji emotions. That today indeed I am whole. Is this whole? I am whole. Hell, H-A-L-E. I am hell. What is that?
Strong.
Strong. It's called, how to pronounce it? Hell. Hell. Okay. Today, indeed, I am hell and well. I have enough to eat and I am not in danger. Yes, it is right. But this life is fleeting, unreliable. My body is like a something briefly lent. Briefly lent. Actually, neme nima detabu, that we don't have any diseases, any kind of like any neme nima detabu. The day that, okay, in Tibetan, he's saying that the day that which we don't have any problem with the health, and then we don't have any problem with our food, and we don't have any harming from others. Now, this is the perfect conditions for you to careful and practice it. But on the other hand, but that kind of time or the life, it's very unreliable. That right now which I have, that I am good in health, I have food, I have nobody is harming me, disturbing me. Gathering all these 3 conditions, plus this again having all these favorable conditions, like without disease, with having enough food and not having any harm from others. But still, this is something very unreliable, because this our really body, it's just like a land, right? Land, how it says here, briefly land. Kind of like a rent. We just rent for very briefly. How, for example, like that right now, for example, for instance, that the merit, it's like a money. When we have a merit like money, that we can rent the nice house like this human form. nice house like this human form, and then which have all convenience. That nice house means you have all the facilities inside, right? You have all the facilities: bedroom, dining room, laundry room, washroom, all having all this favorable conditions is considering as a nice house, right? Likewise, this having this human form, it's very much favorable, kind of like convenience, that you can do whatever you want, not like other beings. You can do whatever. That's like a nice house. That kind of nice house that we are right now, we have this enough merit like money. Therefore, we are able to rent this. But when we exhaust our money, that, for example, like that when we exhaust our merit, exhausting merit like exhausting money. At the same time, that we need to leave this nice house behind, which is like this human form behind. We have to leave this. We cannot occupy it anymore once we don't have this money like a merit. Once we exhaust our merit like a money, then we have no other choice rather than leaving this nice house behind, like a nice house, like a body, precious human form. That is something that we must leave behind. There's no any other choice. So now this is something Shantideva is kind of like trying to let us have some sort of like a urge too. A little bit kind of like a rush. You need to do now. Whenever you have these all causes and conditions, whenever you are capable, then you put your best and carefully do it. Don't wait it. That I'm going to do later. Try from there. This is what he means. Dagi chöba dendeni mi lujong tome jurs. Mili tobar majuna diba bashi gewa means. Now from here, it's not difficult to understand. And yet, the way I act is such that I shall not regain a human life. And losing this, my precious human form, my evils will be many, virtuous none. Now this is mainly that actually what we can really consider here is and yet the way I act is such that I shall not regain a human life. He is very content in this meaning, this word. Actually, we need to have this little description that if we just follow whatever our mind says, okay? If we just follow whatever my mind says, then more or less our mind will tell us to do this eight mundane activity, right? 8 mundane activity. You understand this 8 mundane activity? 8 mundane activities are kind of like a Miela Kamshin, Deva Bashik say, Miela Kamshin, that greed to gain, right? Greed to gain, chasing after pleasure. Deva Bashik say, only chasing only after this pleasure of body and mind. And trying to achieve the fame, name, fame. And when somebody praised to you, then you, how to say, that you are being, like, how can I say, very proud, being very, very proud. These four things are related with the desire. That's the emotion. Desire force us to do these four things. Force us to achieve these four things. Force us to try us to get these four things. And then opposite of these four things, which is some sort of like a somebody disturbing me to gain something, and somebody is preventing me to have a pleasure, and somebody preventing me to have a fame, and somebody preventing me to have a kind of like a praise, preventing me to get some praise from others. And then we generate hatred. Actually, these four activities are related. It comes out of hatred, anger. Through hatred, anger, when we let's generate this hatred within our mind, then that hatred will force us to get, how to say, destroy those type of persons who is disturbing me to achieve something, who is disturbing, preventing me to get the pleasure, who is preventing me to get the fame, who is preventing me to get the praise. Isn't it that one? You understand now? And then also normally, this is also it's related with this 8 mundane activities. Normally, what do you call on this one? 8 mundane what?
8 worldly dharma.
8 worldly dharma, yes. 8 worldly dharma. 8 worldly dharma, also normal human beings, that how we spend our life is like we're saying this. Either we try to destroy our foe, get rid of our enemy, or we are engaging into some actions that we can protect our relatives, save our families, save our friends. And then either we engaging into some sort of like a business, or we're doing some kind of like a farm. These are the main 4 activities that normal human will going to spend time on. Is it? If we just follow our mind, without any concern, without any careness, then our mind will going to tell us to do these things. Isn't it? Our mind will going to tell us either you protect your family, you protect your relatives, and in order to protect your family, you need to do this. We are spending our time on thinking about that. Or if we don't think this, then we think, okay, this is my enemy, this is my fault, okay, how can I get rid of this one? How can I get rid of this one? How can I get rid of this one? If you are not thinking about these things, then we're thinking maybe, oh, how can I find job? How can I earn money? How can I do business? How can I run my life? Blah, blah, blah. Or if you're a farmer, then oh, what time? There's so many things that we have to think and we have to do. This is now it is talking about that, and yet the way I act is such that I shall not regain human life. You see? You understand now? If we just kind of like a follow with what our mind think, then you need to do all these things. If you just kind of like a, how can I say now, this saying like, I'm fluent, right? If you just fluent with your mind, if you just follow or the fluent that what your mind thinks, what your mind tells you to do it, then most likely you will going to spend your time in these things. Or these four things as actually contains this eight worldly dharma, right? As I told you, nyen chong, randul nyen chong. Protect your family and relative, and then destroy or get rid of your foe. That also short in this eight worldly dharma. And detail eight worldly dharma. These are the four related with the emotion of desire, and another four related with the emotion of hatred, which is if we don't care, we just follow whatever my mind tell me to do it. If I just flew with it, then my mind will going to let me flew with these things. And then now, flowing with these things and such, yes, spending whole our life doing all these things, eight worldly dharma, or this mainly four things that normally human do. If you just do it that, and yes, this is really correct that there's no any causes and conditions that you can tell that this action becomes the cause for me to achieve again human rebirth. No, there's no such actions that we can point it out if we just float with our mind. Therefore, it is saying this, and yet the way I act is such that I shall not regain a human life. There's no, if you just follow your mind, whatever it says, then it really can become that. There's no such actions that you can point out, okay, this is something becomes cause of human rebirth. How you can say now here, point it out. Get rid of your four action, it becomes cause for you to achieve in human rebirth again. And then protecting your family, these actions is really becomes, any of those actions becomes cause for oneself to achieve again human. And business, doing business, any of these actions, where is the actions that where rarely we can point that this is the cause? It's very difficult challenge, right? And then farming is actually even same. I think business, farming, these are same, but farming that which we can really see that how many beings that we need to kill by farming, doing by farming. And business actually also same, that when you grow, when you do the big business, then it's still same. And then 8 worldly dharma. 8 worldly dharma. Engaging into any of those 8 worldly dharma. And can we really point that, okay, this is the actions that can become cause for me to be born again in human? That if we just followed whatever our mind says, then most likely we will going to end up with doing this 8 worldly dharma, or those four kind of like a 4 mundane life activities. Okay, either 4 mundane life activity or 8 worldly dharma. Then we will going to end up with doing all these things. And by ending up doing all these things, there's no any one reason that we can say that this really can become cause for me to achieve human rebirth again. Which means that we will not, if we end up our spending life in this way, that we will not going to achieve this precious human rebirth again. And what's wrong if we are not being able to achieve precious human rebirth again? Then Shantideva was saying, Milu Tobar Majuna Dibabashi Geva means if we and losing this, my precious human form, my evil will be many, virtuous none. What's the loss of not being able to achieve human rebirth? Then what Shantideva saying, if you lose it, this precious human rebirth, if you don't attain again this precious human rebirth, then the only you will encounter or you will do is non-virtuous. There will be no any chance for you to accumulate merit. This is what it's short. Means. Okay, so we stop here. So, if you have questions, we can discuss. Tuk and Dojilamo, understand? Little bit.
You remind about four root of four root. What four root?
What four root?
Yeah, 4 precept. Yeah.
Oh, 4 precepts for the middle. For the middle faculties, yeah. Mahayana practitioner. Oh. I didn't remember now. I will let you know later. Aspiration Bodhisattva will going to be there, one of the 4. This is always there. Even in the one, it's there. Among 4 is there. Among 20 is there. He is the main key. I'll let you know.
Yeah. And the other thing I considered was, like the question I asked last week, last 2 weeks. Now the people who attend for this class is now we can consider like all the people they are took the Bodhisattva vow already.
person who ever attend this
attend
class.
this class,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we can consider they have bodhisattva.
Not really necessary.
And if
It depends on individual now.
but
Yeah,
how,
we cannot say.
if we and how we can give for the people if they willing to take the bodhisattva in daily practice.
Yeah, then we have this ceremony.
So
Yeah, Sunday we're doing it. That's the ceremony that you should practice. If you really
that's
want.
practice, not
No,
ceremony.
this is receiving. This itself is ceremony. Ceremony means this is the way to receive Bodhisattva's vow. You can receive Bodhisattva's vow from the person with doing another way of ceremony.
Yeah.
But we can also receive the Bodhisattva's vow from the object, the statues, putting in all those object front, and from those and considering those real Buddha present in front of me, and I'm putting them as my witness that I'm committing that I'm taking this Bodhisattva's vow. That way also you can receive it Bodhisattva's vow. That every Sunday we're doing it here. This is it. You do this yourself every day. That's how you repair your Bodhisattva's vow.
If we would like to take the bodhisattva vow in person, we have to ask the master.
Yeah. Then we have some ceremony that we can do.
If we would like to ask you for take the practice from Adisa.
Adisha.
Yeah, Adisa, how to practice the bodhicitta there.
Adisha way.
Yeah, Adisha way too, right?
Adisha way. Shandideva way.
Yeah.
And Longchenpa way. Adisha way is we call this Junje Mengan. 7 P instruction of cause and effect.
Yeah. Because
6 are cause, last one is effect. That's why it's Adisha's way, and Junje Mengan. Right? Longchenpa ways is 4 immeasurable. That's how it shows in the words of my perfect teacher. Shandideva way is actually I like Shandideva way. Shandideva way is considering self and other equal and changing oneself and others. That's the technique, his technique. Dakshin Nyamba, Dakshin Jiva. He will going to teach this later. Dakshin Nyamje. Dakshin Nyamba means that putting oneself and others equal. Thinking that what I want, they want. Same. What I don't want, they don't want. So I shouldn't do what I don't want to them. I should do what I want to them. First step. And then second, changing. Put yourself on you, you put here. If I do this to you, how you are going to feel? Same way I will going to feel. Therefore, if this is something hurt, not to do. If this is something benefit, do it.
That's the 6th instruction.
Huh?
That's Atisha's 6th.
No, not 6. Yeah, 6 we can say Thagbisamba, right? Thagbisamba like extraordinary mind. Extraordinary mind is like that, but Shantideva putting in shrink like these 2 things. Don't make it like so loud. Adisha way that first you have to understand every being as a mother. This is challenge, right? even somebody, mother, they don't really care. Then it's really challenging in Western, actually. Western in this country, right? Some people even doesn't love their mother. Then from first point, it's lost. You understand every being as a mother, so what? You will say so what, right? Then this is better, Shantideva. Put yourself to the, make the equal to others. You very important yourself, always. Even your mother is not important, but you are important yourself, always. So use this method. You and he is equal. What you don't want, he don't want. What I want, he want. That mother point is that it's based on that, assuming that you are putting more important than yourself, the mother. Then it goes very well. Marsheba, so you won't be chamba, how to samba, chanchuji sen. Right? Knowing the mother, and then knowing the kind, and then willing to repay kind, and then how to say yuongi chamba, that's loving kind of like willing to free all their problem, loving kind. Marsheba tintin tinsonde yuongi chamba, and sewi ninje, compassion, and extraordinary mind now, and then finally is the result, bodhicitta. That way of practicing. This is called the 7 PT instruction, cause and effect. But from the really point beginning, that you need to have that sense that mother is the most important. If you don't have that sense, then this doesn't really work, right? Then this Shantideva is better. You are always important yourself. So make it equal yourself and others. And then now, once you are a little familiar, change it oneself and others. And then see how you feel if I do this too. That's more kind of like a practical. Marsha, but that's also we need to understand life too, right? We need to have confidence on life after life too. If we don't have confidence on life after life, how we can accept that every being as my mother? Huh? Anyway, then the Tsemeshi. Kunjin Monjin way is the 4 immeasurable. Yeah, these are the methods that we can develop bodhicitta within ourselves. Then we dedicate. Sunam de Thamje Zivaye, Thamne Nyebe Dhanam Thamje Ne, Chega Nanje Walon Trubaye, Sibe Tole Doan Doasho, Jambal Pawe Jita Kembana, Kundo Zambo Deyan Dejinde, Deda Kunje Jesu Taloji, Gewan Deda Thamje Rabdomo, Gewan De Shewo. Sunam Yeshe Tozon, Sunam Yeshe Lejon Ve, Tamba Kunyi Kobarasho, Sanje Kusum Nyebe Chinlanda, Chenye Minjur Dembe Chinlanda, Gendem Meche Dembe Chinlanda, Jedara Muwan Galam Dobarasho. Read this in English. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemy, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. by conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyang, and in the same way as Samendabhadra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all beings perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sonam, and wisdom, yeshu, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies, which result from this two accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha Sangye, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Shunyam, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Gendan, may this prayer of dedications be accomplished just as it is.